You see, when we talk about old baggage, we're not just talking about physical things you carry around, we're talking about the invisible load you keep tucked away in your mind and heart. This baggage is made up of all those past experiences, disappointments, mistakes, and even grudges that you've never truly let go of. The problem is, most people don't realize how heavy it's become until they try to move forward and feel that invisible pull holding them back. It's like walking with a backpack full of stones. You can still move, but every step takes more energy than it should, and over time it wears you down. Think about it. How many times have you made a decision, not because it was right for you now, but because something in your past whispered, "Be careful, remember what happened last time"? That's the voice of old baggage. It's the memory of the relationship that broke your trust, the failure that crushed your confidence, or the moment you felt you weren't enough. You've carried it so long that you've stopped noticing it's even there, but it still shapes the way you see yourself and the world. And this is why it's so dangerous, because it quietly dictates your actions while pretending to protect you. The truth is, holding on to this baggage feels safe. There's a strange comfort in keeping it close because it's familiar. It's part of your story, part of your identity, and letting it go almost feels like losing a piece of yourself. But here's the reality: that piece you're clinging to is outdated. It was meant to serve you in the past, maybe to protect you in a difficult moment, but now it's like an anchor dragging you when you should be sailing. Every time you replay an old hurt, you're adding another knot to the rope that ties you to it. And here's the hard part: no one can cut that rope for you. People can encourage you, they can inspire you, but only you can decide that enough is enough. Only you can reach into that backpack, take out each stone and say, "This no longer serves me." It won't happen in one day. Sometimes you have to start with the smallest thing: forgiving someone, forgiving yourself, or simply deciding not to bring up the same painful story again. Life doesn't wait for you to lighten your load. Opportunities will pass, relationships will fade, and dreams will dim if you keep carrying weight that belongs to yesterday. The more you hold on to the past, the less space you have for the present and the future. Imagine trying to catch new blessings with your hands full. You have to let something go to receive something new. This is why release isn't just about forgetting, it's about making space for the life you deserve to live now. So I ask you, what is in your backpack right now? Whose voice is still echoing in your head? What mistake are you still punishing yourself for? The moment you recognize that you don't have to carry it anymore, you're already halfway free. The rest is just the courage to let it drop and walk away lighter, stronger, and ready for the journey ahead. When we look closer at why this baggage feels so heavy, we begin to see that it's not just the events themselves, it's the way we keep them alive in our minds. A painful memory on its own is like a photograph. It captures a moment, but it doesn't move. The reason it still has power over you is because you keep replaying it, adding fresh emotion to something that should have been left in the past. Every time you revisit that disappointment, that betrayal, that missed opportunity, you breathe life into it again. You feed it your attention, and in return it feeds on your energy. The mind is a master storyteller, and sometimes it tells the wrong kind of stories. Something happened once and suddenly it becomes the reason you think you're not capable, not worthy, not ready. You start connecting dots that were never meant to be connected. Maybe you failed at something years ago, and now you believe you're destined to fail at anything similar. Maybe one person broke your trust, and now you doubt everyone who comes close. The memory grows larger than the truth, and before you know it, it's not just a chapter in your life, it's become the lens you see life through. You might say, "But I can't help it, it's just who I am now." No, it's not. That's the baggage talking. That's the past pretending to be the present. You are not the same person you were back when that moment happened. You've learned, you've changed, you've grown, but as long as you keep identifying with that pain, you're carrying the version of you that no longer exists. Imagine wearing clothes that no longer fit, shoes that pinch your feet, simply because you wore them once. You wouldn't keep them on forever, so why do you keep wearing emotions that no longer belong to you? The challenge is, the mind loves certainty. It would rather live in a familiar pain than step into an unknown joy, because at least the pain feels predictable. This is why you catch yourself thinking about the same situations again and again, even when they make you unhappy. You're subconsciously choosing the safety of repetition over the risk of change. But life doesn't reward repetition of pain, it rewards courage. The courage to say, "This story ends here." I'm not saying it's easy. Letting go isn't about pretending something never happened, it's about refusing to let it control who you are today. That's where mindfulness comes in, noticing when the past starts knocking on your door and choosing not to invite it in for tea. It's realizing in that exact moment that you have the power to stop adding fuel to a fire that should have burned out long ago. Every day you wake up with a choice: carry yesterday's weight or meet today with open hands. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you stop feeding those old memories, they start to fade on their own. They lose their grip, they stop feeling like part of you, and start feeling like something you once passed through. So if the past insists on showing up, let it, acknowledge it, then turn your attention to where you're going, not where you've been. That's how you take back your power, not by erasing the past, but by refusing to live in it. So many people don't realize how much of their present reality is shaped by the shadows of their past pain. It's like a quiet filter over everything you see, hear, and decide. You think you're reacting to what's happening now, but really, you're reacting to what happened years ago. Maybe you had a dream once, and someone laughed at it, and now every time you feel inspired, there's a small voice inside that says, "Don't bother, you'll only embarrass yourself." Maybe you trusted someone who betrayed you, and now, without even meaning to, you keep everyone at a distance. You tell yourself it's just being careful, but what it really is the past still running your life. The thing about pain is, it doesn't just sit there quietly. It grows roots, it weaves itself into the way you speak, the way you treat others, the way you view opportunities, and those roots are sneaky. They make you believe this is simply who you are now, when in truth it's who you became in response to a moment that's long gone. The danger is that you stop questioning it. You stop asking, is this belief helping me move forward? And you simply accept it as reality. But here's the truth, the past can't hurt you anymore unless you let it. Yes, it can teach you, yes, it can warn you, but it should never have the final say in your future. Every time you allow an old wound to make your decisions, you're giving it permission to write the next chapter of your life. You're handing over the pen to something that doesn't have your best interests at heart. What I've seen again and again is that when people start to notice these patterns, there's a moment of shock, like waking up and realizing you've been walking in circles for years. And that realization can be uncomfortable, but it's also powerful, because the moment you see the pattern, you can start to break it. You can pause and ask, am I saying no to this because it's truly wrong for me, or am I saying no because of something that happened long ago? The shift happens when you stop letting your past act as a gatekeeper. Instead of it telling you where you can and can't go, you let it stand in the background as a quiet teacher, not a ruler. You can acknowledge that certain experiences shaped you, without allowing them to define you. You can take the lesson and leave the weight. Life will always offer you moments that remind you of your old pain, a tone of voice, a certain look, a familiar situation. But these are not signs to retreat. They're invitations to respond differently this time. They're chances to prove to yourself that you're not the same person you were back then. The past will always have a seat in the theater of your mind, but you decide whether it's in the front row or the back. And when you choose to place it in the back, when you choose to give the present the loudest voice, you'll find that the future suddenly feels bigger, brighter, and more open than you imagined. Letting go is not just an idea, it's a deliberate act of courage. It means choosing to release something you've been holding onto for so long that it feels like a part of you. And the strange thing is, the weight you carry is often invisible to everyone else, but you feel it in every part of your life. It shows up in the way you react to small things, in the way you hesitate before trying something new, in the way you doubt yourself even when there's no reason to. Carrying the past has a way of quietly stealing your confidence without you even realizing it. The power of letting go lies in understanding that the past cannot be changed, no matter how much you revisit it in your mind. You can replay the scenes 1,000 times, imagine how it could have gone differently, wish you had said something else, done something else, but none of that changes reality. What it does change is your present. Every time you give the past that kind of energy, you take it away from what you could be building right now. People often think letting go means forgetting, but that's not true. Letting go doesn't erase the memory, it removes its control over you. It's saying, yes, this happened, yes, it hurt, but I choose not to let it decide who I am anymore. And that choice is what sets you free. You stop being a prisoner to what was, and you start becoming the architect of what will be. Of course, there's a part of us that resists, because as much as the past can hurt, it's familiar, and the familiar feels safe, even when it's painful. That's why moving on can feel uncomfortable. It's stepping into a space where there are no guarantees, no old patterns to lean on. But that's also where the beauty is. Letting go opens up space for the unknown, and the unknown is where growth happens. When you release something heavy, it's not just your heart that feels lighter, your vision clears. You begin to see opportunities you couldn't notice before because your mind was too busy holding on. New relationships feel more genuine because you're no longer guarded by old fears. Your decisions become bolder because they're no longer filtered through past mistakes. Sometimes the act of letting go starts with something small. Maybe it's finally deleting that message you've read 100 times. Maybe it's stopping yourself from bringing up the same old story in conversations. Maybe it's looking in the mirror and saying, "I forgive you," and meaning it. Each small act is like dropping a stone from that backpack you've been carrying, and with each one the journey gets easier. You can't control everything that happens in life, but you can control what you continue to carry. And when you choose to set down what no longer serves you, you make room for something better to arrive. This is how you step into the future without dragging the chains of the past. The real power of letting go is that it doesn't just free you from what's behind, it frees you to finally step fully into what's ahead. Mental discipline is not something you simply wake up with one morning. It's built, piece by piece, through the choices you make every single day. It's the ability to direct your thoughts instead of letting them run wild, to hold your focus when distractions try to pull you away, and to respond with intention instead of reacting on impulse. Without it, the mind becomes like an untrained animal, darting in every direction, chasing every emotion, and clinging to every memory it touches. With it, the mind becomes your greatest ally, steady, clear, and strong enough to carry you through any challenge. Most people underestimate how much of their life is shaped by the thoughts they allow to stay in their mind. They believe that thoughts just happen, like weather passing through, and there's nothing they can do about it. But mental discipline is about recognizing that while you can't always control what thoughts arrive, you can absolutely decide which ones get to stay. And that decision, repeated over time, is what determines your inner peace, your focus, and your ability to let go of the past. Think about it. If your mind is constantly revisiting old wounds, replaying failures, or rehearsing fears, how much space does that leave for new ideas, new dreams, or new ways of being? Discipline means catching yourself in those moments and saying, "No, I'm not going down that road again." It's not about denying the past, or pretending bad things never happened. It's about refusing to let them take up more space than they deserve. The mind will always test you. It will tempt you with the comfort of old habits, with the drama of old stories, with the sting of old pain. Without discipline, you get pulled into those cycles again and again, thinking you're making progress when in reality you're walking in circles. But with discipline, you can step back and see the pattern clearly. You can choose to pause, to breathe, and to direct your attention towards something that actually serves you. Training the mind is no different from training the body. If you want strength, you lift weights consistently. If you want endurance, you train regularly. And if you want mental discipline, you practice controlling your attention every single day. That might mean setting aside time for stillness, or meditation, or simply sitting quietly and watching your thoughts without being pulled into them. Over time, you develop the ability to notice when your mind starts wandering into places that drain your energy, and you guide it back without hesitation. This kind of discipline doesn't just help you in moments of challenge, it changes the way you live. It makes you more present in your relationships because you're not distracted by old grudges or future worries. It makes you more decisive because your mind is clear, not clouded by doubt. It makes you more peaceful because you're no longer giving every passing thought the power to dictate your mood. And here's the truth. Once your mind becomes disciplined, you start to realize that most of the baggage you've been carrying was never as heavy as it seemed. It only felt heavy because you kept picking it up again. When you master your mind, you master your life because nothing has more control over you than the thoughts you choose to keep. Recognizing what no longer serves you is one of the most important skills you can develop if you truly want to move forward. But it's also one of the hardest, because it requires you to be honest with yourself, brutally honest. It means looking at the things, the habits, the relationships, even the thoughts you've held onto for years, and asking a simple but powerful question: is this helping me grow, or is it holding me back? The challenge is that not everything that holds you back looks harmful at first. Sometimes it's something that once gave you comfort, that once played a role in your happiness, but has now quietly turned into something that limits you. The mind has a way of convincing you to keep things just because they're familiar. You tell yourself, "It's fine, it's just how I've always done it," or "I've known this person forever, so I can't walk away now." But time alone doesn't make something right for you. A habit you've had for 10 years can still be toxic. A relationship you've invested in for decades can still drain your energy. Familiarity is not the same as growth. Recognizing what no longer serves you often begins with paying attention to your energy. Notice the situations and people that leave you feeling lighter, more inspired, more alive, and also notice the ones that leave you feeling drained, tense, or small. The truth is, your body and mind already know the difference. It's just that you've been trained to ignore those signals. Maybe you laugh less when you're around certain people. Maybe you feel a knot in your stomach every time you start a certain task. Maybe you find yourself replaying the same arguments in your head over and over. These are not random feelings, they are signs. And here's where courage comes in. Recognizing what no longer serves you is only the first step. The real test is what you do with that knowledge. It's easy to admit that something isn't right for you. It's much harder to take the steps to let it go. Fear will try to keep you stuck. It will whisper, "What if you regret it? What if you can't find something better?" But holding on out of fear only guarantees one thing: nothing will change. Sometimes the hardest part is letting go of a version of yourself that you've outgrown. You might have built your life around a certain identity, a certain role, or a certain dream, and admitting that it no longer fits can feel like failure. But it's not failure, it's evolution.
Just like a snake sheds its skin to grow, you have to shed what no longer fits to step into the next version of yourself. When you start removing what doesn't serve you, something incredible happens. You create space. Space for new opportunities, new connections, new ways of living that you couldn't even see before because you were so busy holding on to the old. And that space is where transformation happens. You cannot step into the life you want while clinging to the things that belong to the life you've outgrown.